Cool. Well, real quick, wanted to touch just a few ways to find deals in real estate. A couple different marketing sources. The big reason to have multiple marketing sources is to, if something goes dead, if one of your leads stop coming in for any reason, to make sure you have other ways to keep leads continuously coming in so your real estate business doesn't die. So a few of those is direct mail. That's the biggest way. That's how I found majority of my deals is through direct mail. And direct mail can be through letterheads, postcards, or yellow letters. They all have benefits and downfalls to them. Postcards are the cheapest things you can mail because it's just a little postcard. You can do bulk mailing on it. But it's the least personal letter you can send. So letterheads and yellow letters are a lot more expensive, but they have a more personal touch to them. You can address them with their name handwritten personally. You can put them in real envelopes, like thank you envelopes, so they think that it's coming from a source that they want to open and read. The goal with direct mail is to have someone actually open up your card and then try and hit the target audience. A lot of times direct mail comes in, postcards, people just throw them right in the trash as they come in. So you want to make it as personable as possible. You can hand address it, you can put a real stamp on it, you can handwrite the return address, anything you can think of to try and get them to just open the letter. Once they open it, either it's for them or it's not. The goal is just to get the letter opened. Another one is bandit signs. Bandit signs are those great "We Buy House" signs that sit out on the sides of streets everywhere and off freeway corners. People laugh at them when I see them. When I first saw them, before I got into real estate, I was like, what in the world is this? But they work. You can make a lot of money doing it. Get online, just Google bandit signs. You can create your own, get a phone number, put "We Buy Houses," and get the phone ringing. The next one is the MLS. So the MLS is a multiple listing service. It's where every house, can you see this pen?
Yeah.
It's where every house that sells in real estate, majority of them through realtors, are listed and sold. It's the biggest sum of houses that you can buy, but it also has the most competition in real estate. So there's definitely deals on there. You just got to search it every single day. Anytime a house gets listed that's undervalued or needs work or says rehab, anything like that, it's a house that you want to go take a look at, see if it's a deal for you, and then go ahead and write an offer on it. So the MLS is another way. So you either have to be a licensed realtor to get on the MLS, or you have to know a licensed realtor who will give you access through the MLS. Any individual can't do it. It's got to be only through realtors where you get onto the MLS. Next two are networking. You got to network with agents and wholesalers. Real estate agents are in this field every single day. All they do is help people buy and sell houses. So if you can network with an agent and become their go-to, they'll start sending you deals. So if an agent gets a deal where it's a great rehab opportunity and they know you're a serious buyer, they get the lead, they send it to you, they make money from the person they're selling it and from you that's buying it. So there's no reason for them not to do work with you if you're serious in the business and you actually close deals. So networking with agents is huge, and then networking with wholesalers is even bigger. They're doing the same marketing as you, probably more or different marketing than you are. So when they're doing the marketing, they're trying to find these deals, and their sole intent is to sell it to an investor like us, a rehabber or landlord, or somebody who's actually going to bring the money to close. So networking with those two things are huge. They'll bring you a ton of deals every year. You just have to be serious, and once they send you a lead, you have to be able to close the lead. And then just overall, one more thing, driving for dollars, I call it DFD. Driving for dollars is when you say, hey, I like this neighborhood. Let me literally drive around the neighborhood, look at any house that is rough or run down, and knock on the door or send them a letter or figure out how to find their phone number, and just call them and ask them, hey, I was driving through your neighborhood, you want to sell your property at XYZ? I actually buy a lot of houses like that. So that's a couple different lead sources. The biggest thing is one way or the other, you're going to have to spend money on marketing to get deals with real estate. So whether you're spending money on postcards, bandit signs, gas to go driving for dollars, money to join networking events so you can network with real estate and wholesalers, there's going to be a little bit of money that needs to be spent. There's a couple free networking events. You can use Craigslist, which is free as well. But to get deals quicker, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to do it. So that's kind of how you find the deal.
Take me to real fast on yellow letters. Is my paper yellow or is my envelope a color?
Yeah, so great question. So yellow letters is a yellow piece of paper that's lined out, and it's mailed through any type of envelope. So you can do it in a white envelope, blue, red, pink, orange, yellow, but the letter itself is a yellow letter, and it looks like it's handwritten. So it looks like handwritten words on there, which is kind of what gives it the personal touch to it. So some people use the handwritten ink on Word, which you can tell obviously isn't handwritten. I actually handwrite it and then put it in a copier and then copy and print it 1,000 times over and then just handwrite the address. So the whole thing's printed, it looks like it's handwritten, you leave the address blank and you write the address, put it in an envelope and send it out.
Gotcha.
So that is how you can find some deals. There's a couple comments on here. I'm trying to find the comments, bear with me.
That's fine. Now, guys, while he do this, let me say this: the working with an agent to get you on the MLS, and that point on networking with agents is very, very crucial, I believe. Once you do find one that's willing to work with you, just randomly sending them, like yesterday was Christmas. I told them Merry Christmas. I made sure I tell them thank you. And when I'm seeing certain deals, I also pass it on to them as well, just to let them know that I'm staying in the loop, but also letting them know that I'm thinking about them, because in return, when they find deals, it just keeps everything fresh and they send me deals constantly. So milk those or nurture those relationships when you get that one.
Cool. What up, Mark? Thanks for the shout out. And Felicia, yes, I'll start writing bigger. My apologies. So the next thing is how to evaluate a deal and make sure it's actually a deal. So there's 3 numbers you're going to need. It's the ARV, the purchase price, and the rehab cost. So the ARV is the after repaired value, which is what the house is going to sell for once it's all fixed up. So once it's 100% rehab, what you can sell it for at the end of the day. So you're going to look at other houses in the neighborhood that are fixed up and that have sold, so then you can find your ARV. If your house is a little bit bigger than theirs, maybe an extra bedroom or an extra bathroom, you got to add a few more $1,000s to the sales price. If that house is bigger than yours, you may have to subtract a few $1,000s from your sales price. So the first number is the ARV, the after repaired value. The second number is the purchase price. So you find the purchase price by backing into the numbers. So then you go to the rehab. You got to walk through the house, determine what the rehab is. It needs a new roof, new windows, some electrical work, drywall, kitchen, bathroom, and paint. Let's just say it needs $50,000. So just real quick numbers so you can see it in real life. So if the ARV, once it's fixed up, you can sell it for $200,000. ARV, and the rehab is $75,000. There's 2 ways you can evaluate it. One's very quick and very high level. It's a good base number to start off of, but I always go into more detail to get the final number. But the quickest, very high level number is you take 70% of the ARV. So 70% of $200,000 is $140,000. You subtract the repair cost from that. So if you got $140,000 minus $75,000, it puts your purchase price at $65,000. So it's the MAO, maximum allowable offer, MAO. You take 70% of the ARV, subtract the sales price from it, and that's your maximum allowable offer. So that's a very quick way to find out if you're in the ballpark on this house or not. So what I do is I actually break it down to the penny to figure out if it's a deal or not, but I do start out with the MEO formula, the maximum allowable offer. So I look at it, if someone's asking $100,000 for this house, it obviously doesn't make sense because you're way above your $140,000 maximum allowable offer. If someone says, hey, I want 50 grand for this house, you do the numbers real quick, you're like, boom, this makes sense. Let me dive a little deeper, spend some more time on it. So just for simple math, let's say they want $50,000 to sell this house. So you got a $200,000 ARV, you got a $75,000 rehab, and you got a $50,000 purchase price. So you're all in for the deal for $125,000. The other things that you have to calculate on the payoff, once you sell this, you're not making $75,000. You're not making anything close to $75,000. People are like, oh, you're killing the game. You're making a little bit more than half of that number. So the things you have to factor in when you sell it, when you buy the house, you got to bring in a private lender. You got to pay them their interest. So they're funding the $125,000. You got to pay them whatever you agree the terms with them are. On top of that, you got to pay the title costs. You need owner's title insurance policy, a lender's title insurance policy. Then you have to pay utilities, insurance. So there's a lot of things you got to pay in here. So you got to pay interest to lender. You have to pay utilities, insurance, title costs on the purchase and on the sale. So you're going to pay two sets of title costs.
Staging,
You got staging,
marketing,
you got marketing,
closing, any buyer closing costs.
and then you got your realtor fees. So if you sell this house through the MLS, it's a tad bit different in every city, but in the MLS, when you sell it, you pay 3% to the buyer's agent. So whoever brings the buyer for the property, you're paying them 3%. And normally you pay 3% to the seller's agent. So whoever's selling the property for you, you pay 3% to them. You can negotiate that. If you give them a ton of business, maybe you can negotiate it a little bit. But a realtor is worth their weight, a good realtor is worth their weight in gold. Remember how I said networking with agents? If you're giving a realtor all these listings and they sell it, they're making a lot of money doing it, the first person they're going to call when they get a deal is you. So if they send you one deal a year where you make an additional $50,000 on one deal, they pay for themselves. So a good agent is worth their weight in gold. So once you take this, you're all in for $125,000. You sell for 200 grand. There's a $75,000 margin on that. Then you got to pay your interest, your utilities, insurance, title costs on the purchase, title costs on the sale, staging, marketing, realtor fees. Once you get all that down, that's what your true net profit is at the end of the day. So once you break it down, my goal in real estate, when I sell a house, is to net 15 to 20% of the ARV. So whatever I sell it for, I want to net, once I pay all these expenses, once I pay everybody off,
40,000.
I want to net 15 to 20% of that. So I want to net $30,000 to $40,000 on that deal. Net. Like that's my takeaway at the end of the day. So with that, the reason you want to net something like that, you don't want to get into these deals where you're netting 5 or 10%, because markets can shift, you can go over budget, you can sell the house for a little less than what you thought it would, neighborhoods can change. There's a lot of risk if you don't have a big enough margin on something. I've had margins like this. I've had $60,000 margins go to $3,000. I've lost 57 grand on a deal, but I still walked away net positive on the deal because I had such a big margin. So you have to make sure you have a true margin on this deal. That's why when you get in, you don't want to buy the house for $80,000. Because if you buy it for 80, you put 75 into it, you're projected to make what, 15 grand? Let's say you go $5,000 over on the rehab, you sell the house for 195 instead of 200, and you held it for an extra 2 months. Now you're walking away with $0 or even paying somebody to buy the house from you, which is the worst feeling in the world. So you have to make sure you have a good margin on the deal. That's what makes you safe. That's what keeps you at least walking away with some money and not losing money at the end of the day. So if it's a $75,000 budget, $5,000 to $7,000 of that is actually part of a contingency budget. So you always got to have, and if it's a $120,000 rehab, probably $10,000 to $15,000 of that is going to be a contingency budget. So you always got to have your contingency budget built into that. And also when you're rehabbing these houses, excuse me, from buy to sell, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months. So the markets can shift. If you buy it in May, you're selling it in January, it's not the same sales price. Houses in May normally sell for more than houses do in January. So those are all things that factor into your net profit. And at the end of the day, you'd much rather walk away with $30,000 to $40,000 instead of $3,000 or even negative $10,000. So got to make sure you have a good margin on the deal when you're buying.
Come back to contingency budget means what?
Contingency budget's like an up. So like when I budget this for roof, windows, siding, some drywall work, kitchens, baths, my true budget, let's say, comes into $67,000. So I'm projecting to spend $67,000 on this house. Then I'm like, oh, okay, well, what happens when I open up a wall and there's termites? Or if a furnace goes bad and I gotta replace the furnace? Those are all things that are unknown at the beginning of the job. So I'm gonna add $5,000 to $7,000 to this rehab budget. So when those things come up, I have money to pay for it. So obviously we hope nothing ever like that ever goes bad. It does on every project. So worst case scenario, you spend your contingency, maybe a little bit more than your contingency, and you make $27,000 or $37,000. Best case scenario, you don't spend your contingency, and you make an extra $7,000 of profit on the deal. So the contingencies is just unknowns that are unforeseen.
So extra money in your rehab.
Yes.
Always have extra cash for rehab.
That's just really high level of where you find deals. There's tons of ways. Deals are everywhere. You just gotta put the time and the money into it, and how you evaluate a deal top to bottom. And these right here are all things people forget to budget for when they sell a house. So these are all things to keep in mind. There's probably a few more things that I didn't write on there. So make sure you budget for all those things and keep your contingency and your margins big. And at the end of the day, you should walk out net positive on a deal.
Is there a general rule of thumb on the percentage of my expenses right there against my ARV? So in other words, if we're selling for $200,000, can I easily say, hey, I know 10%, which is $20,000, is absolutely going to take care of that 6% for the realtor fees, my title costs and things like that? Is there a general rule of thumb that I can calculate all of my expenses from my ARV?
So I've never budgeted like that. I've always budgeted dollar for dollar, but the 70% rule and kind of includes all that.
Gotcha.
So if you take 70% of your ARV, which is $140,000, so your purchase is 50, your rehab's 125, so you got $15,000 of margin in there, which is over and above extra profit. But part of that $60,000 margin, see how our net's only 30 to 40?
Right.
Part of that 60,000 includes all these as well. So if you do the 70% rule, it's a very good base knowledge. If your numbers are spot on with the 70% rule, then it's normally a deal. And that does include paying all these other things. Barring if you take 2 years to rehab and sell the property, you're paying interest on it, utilities and insurance every month,
Right.
then those numbers squeeze a little bit. But if you're in the general 2, 3, 4, 5 month rehab, if you use that 70% rule, it includes all these added expenses.
Great.
So, anything else? Cool. Any other questions from you guys or anything? Anything else I can help answer here on a beautiful Tuesday, day after Christmas? Everybody at home, or you guys working today? I'd rather be home on the couch. Cool. Any other questions, comments? What's up, Keith? How you feeling? Both. What does both mean, Felicia? Cool. Well, if there's not anything else, any other questions particular to this, I'm gonna.
Tell them to hit the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so we got a YouTube channel, Working Home, I like that. So we got a YouTube channel going, it's Right Property Group, RIGHT Property Group LLC. All of these videos are gonna be going on there, so you'll be able to watch all these again. Again, that's Right Property Group, RIGHT Property Group LLC on YouTube. Everything we do in the past and going forward will all be uploaded to there, so it'll be a library of everything you need. And like I said, always, if you got any other questions, comments, please comment on here. I'll get back to everybody. If you got a good question, we'll do a whole video on it if it has that much value and information needed on it. So comment, please share, more people can get on here. Sharing will be greatly appreciated. And if there's nothing else, happy belated Christmas. Happy New Year here in a few days. And we'll be back on it here in about a week to give you another video. Thanks, guys.